Hello and welcome to Tech for Non-Techies, the only podcast that demystifies the fast-growing technology sector. I'm your host, Sophia Matveeva, Chicago-based MBA and tech entrepreneur. My aim here is to give you the skills, knowledge and confidence to find opportunities in the tech sector, whether that's through founding a company, getting a dream job, or bringing a fresh perspective to your work.
Hello, smart people. How are you today? This weekend, I went to a live show for the first time since the pandemic started. I saw the News Review in London, which is a hilarious comedy show about what's happening in the world of politics that week, but with songs. So you'll get a Brexit disaster news story set to a Christina Aguilera song. And also, you can bring your drinks into the theatre. The show starts at 9:30 p.m. when everyone is already a bit tipsy, which makes it extra fun. So if you're in London and you want to impress your friends with how smart, sophisticated and funny you are, then get yourself a ticket to the News Review. And now, let's talk about how you can get involved and win in tech. As you know, I've been teaching at London Business School this autumn, and I also taught my class at Oxford University for the first time this year. I've been teaching technology concepts to smart non-technical professionals. Things like what role does design play in technology, what's a back-end, what's a front-end, why is an API both a business and a technology decision, and many other things. But why do people take my courses? So some want to start tech-enabled businesses, others want to invest in tech companies, and they want to understand what to look for, and yet others want to work in a tech company and do really well in that job. And what all of this has in common is getting into the tech sector from outside the industry. So whether you want to transition into tech as a founder or as an investor or an employee, I found actually there are core patterns that lead to success, and that's what I want to share with you today. If you want to break into a career in tech and you're not sure what your options are or how to get started to go after them, then this episode is for you. And first things first, my dear smart person, I want to congratulate you for being a long-term strategic thinker. According to research by Microsoft, the total number of technology-oriented jobs is predicted to rise to 190 million jobs in 2025. So that is about 4 times what it is right now. And you know, it doesn't refer to hard coding jobs. So technology-oriented jobs are jobs that are working with product teams and working in technology companies in non-techie roles. So I just want you to keep that figure in mind. 190 million technology-oriented job opportunities by 2025. So you are definitely on the right path if this is what you want to do. In this episode, I'm going to show you 3 examples of 3 successful career transitions into tech. And I'm going to show you how you can apply these lessons to your life. So first, let's start with Juliet. Juliet Eysenck is a former student of mine. She began her career as a journalist and she worked at The Telegraph. And for those of you who are outside of the UK, The Telegraph is one of the largest newspapers here. At first, Juliet was not remotely techie. She was not covering tech news. She was covering normal news, so politics, court cases, business news. At The Telegraph, like at any other publication, journalists have their own portal where they upload news stories. And I wrote a column for Forbes for 3 years, and we also had our own journalist product. When Juliet was using this journalist app to upload her news stories, she was finding some aspects of it annoying and uncomfortable. Imagine this scenario. So you're a journalist and you're covering a court case and the verdict has just come out and you managed to get an exclusive comment from a man that everybody thought would get convicted but is actually walking free. Oh my God, the scandal. This is explosive stuff. And you got the comment and you are a rock star as a reporter. You want to file that story before your competitors do at the Times or at the Guardian. But given that you're in London, you're probably standing outside the courthouse and it is raining. The last thing you want to do is faff about with confusing design on the journalist app. You just want to submit the story and be the first one to break it. As a user of the journalist product by The Telegraph, Juliet started giving feedback to the product team about how the system that they had built for journalists could be improved. Literally, she was doing this as a user, because she was a user, to make life easier for herself and for her journalist colleagues. And this led to her getting interested in what the product team does and getting involved in their work by giving lots of feedback and ideas. And she got to like what they're doing, and she liked the people that she was interacting with. So when a job opening for a product manager came up at the newspaper, the team asked her to apply, and she did, and she got the job. I met her at around this period when she was new in her role. She knew her job from a user's perspective, and she learned a lot on the job, but she wanted to add a solid understanding of how products get made from idea and then get to scale. What I want you to see from Juliet's example is that she transitioned into a career in tech because she had a unique user's perspective. She became a product manager for a product made for journalists. Most people in the product team knew a lot more about tech and design, but did not know how actual journalists use the product in the field. And I want you to think, whatever you do, you have a unique user's perspective, which is going to be super useful for a tech company. So I ask you, what apps and sites do you use to do your job? Because your perspective as a user can actually be the very thing that gets you into your career in tech. You can use this insight either to get a cool new job or to build or invest in products that solve problems in that market. For example, my MBA classmate, Vikas Singh, worked in investment banking, but he is super passionate about running. He ran more marathons than I care to count and made all of our classmates feel guilty with his super healthy habits. And Vikas is no longer in banking. He created a tech business called FitPage. And FitPage has apps on Apple and on Android on which runners can get a personalized training plan, track their progress, and learn how to build endurance, which is basically all the stuff that Vikas has been obsessed about for ages. And I saw a job advert that Vikas made for people that he was hiring for his product team. And there was the usual stuff, like he needed a back-end engineer and a front-end developer and a designer. But he was also recruiting running coaches to be part of the product team. Now, isn't that cool? Not only is this an example of a non-technical founder breaking into tech because he has a unique user perspective, but it is also an example of how a tech company is actively looking for running coaches to be on the product team precisely because of their unique non-techie experience. And I have many, many more examples of this, but I want to show you the other case studies I promised you to help you get into your career in tech before this episode gets too long. Now, I want to tell you about Oksana Stowe. She began her career in investment banking, but wanted to transition into venture capital. And let me tell you, investment bankers who want to work in VC are a dime a dozen. So while getting into investment banking is hard, if you want to get into venture investing, just having 3 years at Goldman Sachs is not going to cut it. I know, adulting is hard. But I digress. In order to get into a career in venture, Oksana decided to start making angel investments with her own money, so she could learn about startups and technology and widen her network in the tech investing space. This meant that when she applied to work in venture funds, she had a track record, but also she had the network to apply for the jobs in the first place. Most jobs don't actually get advertised, and even if they do, there's usually a preferred candidate that the company already knows. And the job ad is just insurance in case, there is somebody with omnipotent powers out there. And so that's why having a network and being known for your expertise in that network is so important in your career transition into tech. It worked for Oksana, and she is a successful venture capital investor now, investing in retail tech and consumer technologies. But I hear you saying, great, but I'm not an investment banker and I don't have thousands of dollars to invest in startups, which will probably go bust. Fair dues, but don't worry, I've got you. I've also seen people make the transition into tech VC investing by getting involved with angel investment networks. And the principle is actually the same. Get exposure to startups and investors, learn how tech investment decisions get made, and make sure that when there's a job opening in a VC fund, you're the first to know about it and you are the preferred candidate. You can get involved in an angel investment network as an organizer and help organize pitch events and expert sessions. And Tim Ferriss actually did this when he moved to San Francisco and didn't know anyone. He volunteered at tech events, he met expert speakers and startups, and he learned about investing and widened his network. Okay, so he is not a venture capitalist, but Tim Ferriss is a very successful man who invested in Shopify and Uber in their early angel rounds. Most VCs would love to have him as a partner. It's just that he doesn't want to do it, which is a great position to be in. Both Tim Ferriss and Oksana Stowe got to be successful investors in tech originally as a side hustle. So my question to you is, what can you do and where can you volunteer that gives you exposure to tech? I bet you there are loads of opportunities online and IRL that you can get involved in right now. What's cool is that these side hustles give you a position in tech that you can literally put on your LinkedIn profile. And that enhances your resume, but does not interfere with your day job. So, for example, on LinkedIn, you could say that you're a strategic advisor to a startup, or you could be on the screening committee for an angel network. I mean, that looks really cool. And this interim step will help you transition career into the position that you want longer term. And I've seen this happen over and over again, and also it's how I did it. But I promised you 3 case studies. So let's get on with the last one. My last example is a man called Ronan Walsh. Ronan is a marketer and runs a marketing agency called Digital Trawler. And listen to this, he runs a marketing agency, not a tech company. But he got into tech via his clients. You see, his agency, Digital Trawler, only works with software as a service businesses. SaaS is short for software as a service and basically refers to software that you pay for, like, if you have a paid account with Zoom. And in this way, Ronan is still participating in the tech sector and benefiting from the tech boom, but his core expertise is still marketing. If you're a professional services expert like a lawyer or an accountant or an advertiser or a PR, you could totally do the same thing. To attract and retain tech clients, you do need to know the basics of what they do. You will need to invest in your knowledge to reap the rewards. I mean, that's just normal. If you're pitching your services to a tech company, say as a lawyer or an accountant or a marketer, and you don't know your back end from your front end, you are not going to stand out because the other people wouldn't have bothered either. And the one person who does, or maybe the 2 people who do, they are going to be the real competition. They are going to be the companies that get the client. But as I always tell you, it's about learning the core concepts of technology and then connecting them to business outcomes and user needs. If you know how to do that, then you can also have a successful services business, which is part of the lucrative and exciting tech boom by working with tech clients that generally can pay higher fees. And with all of these examples, so from Juliet at The Telegraph, Vikas with FitPage, Oksana and Tim Ferriss with tech investing, and Ronan Walsh with his clients, I want you to see that there are many different ways for you to have a successful career transition into tech. In fact, I am certain you have more options than you think. And I hope that after hearing this episode, you feel that the world is more open to you now. And, I think that's a really exciting feeling to have, this feeling of opportunity and possibility. In all of these cases that I've shown you, you need to learn technology concepts, but don't need to be a coder yourself. But in all of these cases, Juliet, Oksana and Ronan learned the concepts and then put them into practice. They took action. So think about it. It's like learning a language. Yes, you need to have classroom time to learn vocabulary and grammar. But then you need to go outside and practice all the stuff that you've learned. Put the theory into practice. Have conversations with people in that language. If you're learning French, spend a couple of weeks in the south of France and order rosé in French. Or if you're learning Spanish, get yourself over to Mexico and order a margarita in Spanish. And Putting theory into practice is exactly what I'll help you do in my program, which opens for applications today. It's called How to Break into a Career in Tech. You will get access to the course I teach on the core concepts of technology, which is basically what I teach at LBS and at Oxford. You'll also get access to our membership, but most importantly, we will work together over 3 months to apply what you're learning to your unique circumstances, so you can take your career transition from aspiration to action. Wouldn't it be great if in 3 months' time you could add a new position to your LinkedIn? Wouldn't it be awesome to become a tech insider rather than looking in at the sector and not knowing how to even get started? If this intrigues you, then fill out the application form in the show notes. The form is literally just a few questions about where you are and what you want. I'll have a look, and if I think that the program or any of the courses are right for you, then you'll get an invitation to a free consultation call with me. And then we will run through how we can work together to help you reach your aims. The details are in the show notes, or just go to techfornontechies.co/application. That's techfornontechies.co/application. And, my dear smart person, if you learned something new today, then tell me. I'd love to know. Open your podcast app right now and leave a rating and review. That's it for now, smart people. Have a fabulous day, and I will be back in your lovely smart ears next week. Ciao.